Hey everybody, I'm Travis Marshall with another edition of Lunch Punch brought to you by the newly renovated, newly updated GrilledChristian.com. Yes, again, Lunch Punch is your spiritual shot of adrenaline to help you begin or even to help you get through your work week. Today I want to talk to you about how to do this, how to recover from loss. Maybe some of you all have really gone through it in life. I want to talk to you about how to recover from loss and how to rescue your future, how to recover from loss and how to rescue your future. So we're finishing up a little mini-series, a little impromptu mini-series in 1 Samuel chapter 30. And I want to encourage you to do two things along with me and those who have joined me so far on this journey. One, I want you to read 1 Samuel chapter 30 on your own. There's a lot of little points in there that you can learn to apply to your own life and your own situations. And point two of the challenge would be to actually go through the last three sessions of Lunch Punch where we're actually diving into 1 Samuel 30 in very specific places and very specific ways in order to lift out very specific things to help you be blessed and to see some things through in your life that maybe you've been praying for. So one more time in this little mini-series, we're going to go to 1 Samuel chapter 30, and I want you to join me in verse 18, and it says this: David recovered all that the enemy had taken, and David rescued his family. David recovered all that the enemy had taken, and he rescued his family. Now, we love to get to the end of the chapter, to the end of the book, and see the happily ever after. But I want to remind you of all that we've dealt with in the past few sessions where we actually saw there was a journey. This was not an easy journey. It wasn't just abracadabra and then it happened. No, there was a journey that David had to take to get there. And so I want to just kind of tie up these last few sessions in a nice, neat little bite-sized package for today. But I want to encourage you to go back to those sessions and see how we unpack these different points in previous sessions. So what we learned from 1 Samuel chapter 30 over these last few is that in verse 6, David showed us that when your enemies burn down all of your hard work, maybe you've worked your tail off or something, and then you've had people just burn it down. And not only did the enemies burn down, but his own friends turned away. They turned their backs on him. So maybe you've been in a situation where enemies have burned down all you've had, and maybe your friends have turned their backs on you. In that session, we reached one of the big buts of the Bible. We learned that David encouraged himself in the Lord. So I want to encourage you to encourage yourself in the Lord. And then in verse 8, we're showed that when you don't know what to do, inquire of the Lord. Ask what God would have you do. Verse 8 also showed us that in God's time, in His time, and don't get ahead of that, but in His time, He's going to give you the go-ahead to pursue, to overtake, and to rescue whatever your situations may be. And then in verse 10, there's this warning, there's this encouragement, there's this little caveat that we may lose some people, at least for a season, along the journey ahead, as we press on in the journey ahead. And I want to remind you that just because you've been called to pursue, to overtake and rescue, you've been given the strength to be able to do so, doesn't mean that everybody else has. So don't hate and don't get angry at the people that don't go on this leg of the journey with you. Rather, inspire them with your unwavering tenacity, with your patient endurance, and with your unending pursuit of your calling. By doing this, you'll reach the point in verse 18, this end of the journey, where you're going to recover all that's been lost. I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's finances. I don't know what your situation is. Maybe it's relational. Maybe it's your own sanity. After you do these things, you will recover all, and you will rescue your family and many others around you who have watched you on the journey. So again, let's go through these points very quickly as we wrap this up. Remember, encourage yourself in the Lord when times are tough. Inquire of the Lord when times are confusing. Wait for His go-ahead to pursue, overtake, and to rescue your situations. Then be willing to put in the work and to build the relationships it's going to take to get there. And then in its season, see how God will bless your hard work. Again, thank you all so much for sharing liking and commenting on this video and sharing our Facebook fan page. Crush it for the King this week and everything that that he's been able to give you to do. This has been Lunch Punch, brought to you by the newly updated GrilledChristian.com, where we want to help you do 3 things, and that's to know, lead, and defend your worldview and your faith. God bless.